This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
This is Mike.
And Beck.
And Nina.
And we are Brew Crime, and we have a special guest today. Can you introduce yourself?
Hey, this is Ross from 3 Beers In. We do a craft beer podcast focused on Texas beer. We try to focus mainly on Austin, so because that's where we all live. So
Yeah, makes it better, right?
yeah, wow. Makes it better beer, yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this episode we're going to do hometown crimes. So I think we're going to start with Beck today.
So the case I chose is Leah Sousa, and nothing could make a mother forget the brutal death of her child, not even amnesia.
And I guess maybe tell which hometown that is just for people.
Well, it's in the story.
Okay, never mind then. I'll cut that. All right, what beer did you pick up for us to pair with this?
The beer I got is called Phillips Amnesiac. And I'm going to let Mike talk about it because that's his deal.
All right, yes, it's from Phillips Brewing out of Victoria, BC. It is a double IPA, 8.5% alcohol. And it says, beyond the cave of hypnosis and up the river of forgetfulness, you will find our original IPA's big gnarly brother. Craft brewed, enlightenment, and a profound dose of hoppy citrus awaits you. It's a lot of big words on that. Damn you, Phillips. One of the breweries still using bombers, something that's kind of going away these days.
It's a bomber.
What?
The 650
What are you
milliliter
talking
bottles.
about?
Up here, everything's going to tall cans.
Mm.
I kind of like the bomber, though.
Yeah, we still have plenty of bombers here.
All right, it's a sort of a coppery color.
Mm-hmm.
Little off-white head. It's pretty citrusy on the nose. Little herbalness. Not a lot to it on the nose.
I don't get that from mine.
Yeah, I think your beer's a little different there.
Yeah.
Quite citrusy and piney. Some resin in there. It's bitter.
It's not too bitter, though.
It's not too bitter, yeah. It's a nicely balanced double IPA. A little on the sweeter side than the bitter side.
Thankfully, for me.
I don't think you'd like this one, though, Ross.
Well, it's an IPA, so.
Exactly.
And there's resin in it, so.
Yeah. You're out.
I'll drink an IPA. I'll drink in a hoppy IPA as long as it's not bitter.
Okay, yeah. All right, well, let's get into this first story.
Okay. Welcome to Cumberland Beach, approximately an hour and a half north of Toronto. Population so small that I couldn't find it on Google. Although I'm not technically from Cumberland Beach, it is where I went to elementary school. But where I'm actually from is too small to necessitate a school. I wanted to see what Google had to say for tourism in the area, just for my own amusement. And it suggests Tuttle Park and Couchiching Park. And they're both really nice parks, and neither of them are actually in Cumberland Beach. So, great job, Google.
Yeah, no shit.
It did mention the candy shop, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a candy shop that somehow stays open year-round. Year after year, they actually had to open a second location on the other side of the highway.
Damn.
So that they could get people going both ways. And I'm just like, it's candy. It's overpriced candy. Whatever.
Yeah.
Good for them. I was surprised
I feel the
that,
same way about candy.
Yeah. And they sell other stuff like, you know, those tins that have Betty Boop or
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know,
Do they have Hello Kitty candy?
Probably.
Fuck it.
Worth the flight for you then.
I'm not going to Cumberland.
But it's $12 for a little tin. What?
Yeah, exactly. And some
12
like,
Canadian
flavorless
dollars.
Yeah.
candy in there.
So
or
that's like
something.
$6 American, right?
That would be pretty cheap. Yeah, I guess so. All right.
I was surprised that Weber's wasn't mentioned. It's a burger place that's on the highway there, and the lineups in the summer are insane. Like, people will line up for 45 minutes to get this burger. But I guess it's just part of their, like, trek to the cottage. You know, they do the same stops every year, and now it's a tradition, and it's like, I guess, if you're used to waiting, They actually built a walking bridge over the highway there for the foot traffic that this burger shack gets.
Crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it's better than having people run across the highway.
That's more fun.
Go, Billy, go! Ah!
Say population control.
Yeah, exactly.
How badly do you want that burger?
Well, I mean, they're just tourists, so whatever. The Tim Hortons there, which used to be a bakery.
Oh,
That was
some
quick.
Timbits.
Yeah.
All right, sorry.
It used to be a
Sorry,
baker's
sorry.
dozen.
Tim Hortons always gets me excited, so. Never actually been there, but, you know,
Just the idea of it, like a magical
the
land.
idea. Yeah.
Okay. It used to be a baker's dozen. Did you guys have... Is that a thing on the West Coast?
What is that, 13 or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was called the baker's dozen.
Okay, I
like
don't think so.
It was before Tim Hortons took over all of the coffee shops.
Oh, okay.
It was a chain, but I'm not here.
No, I don't think
guess.
so. No.
That Tim Hortons got so busy that they actually had to move down the highway so that they'd have their own parking lot. And now there's a Starbucks, which is so fancy.
Big town.
Wow. Okay, but on to the real story here. I was rather delighted to find that it was pretty difficult to find a hometown crime. That's just nice. Like, if something's going to be hard to find.
Oh, we don't have any serial killers? Damn it, guys. We gotta get on it.
Yeah.
It's not London, Ontario, right? So.
Yeah. I didn't actually have to search for this crime, though, because I remember when it happened, and I remember 18 years later when the investigation was reinvigorated. I didn't really want to do this one at first because it's a kid one, and you guys know that I don't like those ones. I don't like...
Kids?
No.
She likes
I
kids,
love
that's why.
kids. That's why I don't
just wanted
like
to
researching
clarify.
these cases. Okay. So late at night on August 31st, Leah Sousa, 36, was asleep at home on Beachview Avenue in Cumberland Beach with her daughter Leah and 9-month-old son Michael. They had recently returned home from a vacation and were settled back in for the night. Between 1:30 and 3 a.m. the morning of September 1st, someone broke in through the back of their house. They beat Laura to unconsciousness and then moved on to Leah's room. Leah was sexually assaulted before being dragged to her backyard and bludgeoned to death. It has never been found, but the investigators think that the weapon must have been a blunt metal object like a tire iron or a crowbar. It is possible that it is still in the area somewhere, as the metal obviously wouldn't degrade like wood would. Thanks a lot, English.
Yeah.
Leah's body was found later that day by one of her friends. Leah was only 13 at the time. She had just graduated from archery at public school and would have been starting high school later that month. Michael was found inside and untouched. Although Laura had been savagely beaten and left for dead, she too was still alive and was rushed to hospital. Laura likely saw the attacker, but she has no memory of that night because of the head injuries.
That's awful.
She had amnesia about the whole event, which is why the beer pairing. But
Yeah, for sure.
she's tried everything to get those memories back. Tried hypnosis and what's the real word for truth serum? I'm forgetting. I'm totally blanking.
Like a cognitive serum or something?
No, like
Sodium pentothal.
yes, thank you. Police found a bloody shoe print inside. It was a Nike all-leather court or tennis shoe, size 9 or 10. The OPP, that's Ontario Provincial Police, believe that whomever did this knew the area and knew that the Sousas were home and alone. There were no witnesses, and with such little evidence, the case went cold. In 2008, OPP erected a series of billboards along Highway 11, the entire 47 kilometers from Barrie to Cumberland Beach. And that was the case being reinvigorated. That's what I was talking about, because I remember when they put all these signs up. There'll be a picture of the billboard available on our website as well.
Perfect.
It's weird because I didn't I thought when they put those billboards up, it seems like it was a lot longer ago than just 10 years, but that's how time works. It's just
Time flies, yeah.
weird. Brian Timothy Elson has been questioned multiple times in the case, but to be fair, quite a few people have, because it's been 29 years since the original crime took place. He was a person of interest because just 4 months after Leah was murdered, Brian stabbed 17-year-old Sandra Bannister to death. That in itself isn't really a connection. It's horrible, but it's not a connection. But the connection is that Brian's grandmother lived just down the street from the Sousas. And police believe that he was in Cumberland Beach at the time, even though he still claims that he wasn't. Police didn't have anything to physically connect him to the scene, so they had to let him go. There was a lot of, like, the usual speculation online about who else the killer could be, but the person that stuck out most, or the one that seemed most likely, I guess, was just talking about how Laura's brother is involved in the drug community, so they didn't know if this was connected to that, some sort of retaliation or anything, but again, they couldn't really prove it. There was even people online speculating that it could have been Paul Bernardo, but but it seems extremely unlikely because it's not his MO, and there's no evidence of him being that far north in Ontario.
I guess just grasping at straws at any killer that's in the area at all, so it's a very big province, but still.
It is. Yeah. So lots of speculation, but sadly, no evidence.
That never happens.
Yeah. So it's one of the longest ongoing investigations in the history of the OPP, and it's still open, still ongoing. So police have conducted thousands of interviews from coast to coast, spanning nearly 3 decades. As new forensic techniques are discovered, the case is re-examined by the 2 detectives that are currently assigned to the case full-time. There is still a $50,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killer. So if you have any information about this case, please call 1-800-222-TIPS. They can guarantee complete anonymity if that is what you want, and even if there's something that seems insignificant, it could be something that clinches it for the police.
Yeah, is that Crime Stoppers?
Yeah, that's Crime Stoppers. And
I didn't know they had that in Canada as well. Mm-hmm. It's the same number. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
All right. Anyway.
Yeah, so it's 1-800-222-TIPS. If there's anyone listening, think you have any information, just call. I mean, what's the harm? It could be, even if you think that what you remember isn't significant, it might just, once you're talking about it, it might just bring up more memories. And yeah, it can't hurt to call.
No, for sure, yeah. It's quite the case.
Yeah.
Hopefully one of these days the family gets some kind of closure. I mean, there's never any real closure, but it'd be nice to at least, know what happened.
An answer.
And have an answer and hopefully put someone in jail.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's the case. It was a short one, but yeah.
Perfect. Well, thanks for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
This story is about the murder of Jennifer Cave. It's still considered one of the, I guess, most gruesome crimes in West Campus, which is a neighborhood in Austin where I'm currently living. But it involves where I grew up, where I went to high school, so as well. So
close enough.
Yeah. So I picked 2 beers, something here that we would never drink in high school, of course.
No.
But in the area, we would have Lone Star beer, which I've had 2 now, and I don't want any more of those. It's your basic macro lager. It's actually owned by Pabst now. Adolf Busch, I think he started it back in 1840 something. I think I think it says it on the label, 1884, and that is the only thing it says on the label. No flowery poems or anything.
Oh, you don't really need to for a macro lager, right?
It is just beer. It is just basically drinking a Pabst. Anyway.
Gross.
But yeah, apparently he
so
wanted
that's my favorite, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
He wanted to sell beer in Texas, but if you're going to sell beer in Texas, it better be a beer made in Texas. So that's what they did. And it went through the hands. It's basically owned by Miller Coors now, because they brew everything Pabst owns.
Okay.
So. Which not too long ago there was a legal battle, and they were like, "No, we're not going to brew any stuff for you." And so Pabst might have gone away, but it's still there. But so a much better beer from Austin, Live Oak's Hef.
Oh, nice. I have heard that
So-
name for sure.
Yeah, it is. They claim it to be the second best hef in the world. So just after Vina Stefaner, which is much older, and they've been brewing since, I think, 1050 AD, something like that. They've been
I
open.
guess that's okay.
Yeah, I guess they probably know what they're doing then.
Yeah, but Live Oak is the oldest continually open brewery in Austin. They just celebrated their 22nd year, so
It's not bad at all.
which Celis claims to be the oldest, but they were closed down for like 10 years because they sold to Miller, and then they shut them down. But yeah, Live Oak, there you go. So I'm going to crack this open, and it is way better than the Lone Star. It's a really great hef. I don't know how else to explain it. You know, it's got that banana and a little bit of the cloves.
Okay, yeah.
Like your standard hef. Like you think of hef, this is what you think of.
Nice.
So.
Just well made. It's probably pretty hazy then.
Oh yeah.
Most hefs are, yeah.
Yeah, hazy with a bright white head. I don't have a glass to pour. Actually, I do have a glass to pour it in. Whatever. It's fine. It's good in the can. So
Got to stay classy,
it's good
Texas,
when you're
right?
floating the river.
Got to
What's
stay
that?
classy, Texas.
Oh yeah, of course, always. I'll read what they have in the can. It's extraordinary lagers and ales, craft brewed in Austin, Texas, since 1997, using traditional beer making methods inspired by old world style beers. Yeah, apparently they get all their malts from everything they use from Germany.
Nice.
And they make a Grodziskie now, which there's been a Polish brewery, well, because Grodziskie is Polish, they wanted them to come to Poland to brew with them. So it's like, that you must be doing something right.
Yeah,
Anyway.
really.
Not about Live Oak, I don't know. So, my crime here. All right. In the early morning hours of August 17th, 2005, Colton Petoniak woke up in the West Campus studio apartment as he had done so many times before. He made his way to the bathroom only to find a dead woman in his bathtub.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
It might not.
I'll be patient,
He
that's
might
fine.
not have been so surprised. I don't know. We'll see.
Spoiler.
Ooh, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Colton Petoniak grew up privileged in Little Rock, Arkansas. He had, by all accounts, a very, very normal and even good childhood. He excelled at school, was active at church, and was even a National Merit Scholar. But that was just one side of Colton. There was also the racial slurring, binge drinking, and drug using Colton. And when yeah. Well, high school. I don't know.
The racial
That doesn't
slur
make it
part,
okay. I
unacceptable.
don't know. Yeah, when Colton drank, he got angry and belligerent and fought a lot. But around this time in that area, that's what the kids did. They said they were a group of rich kids with money and too much time on their hands. But Colton continued to do well in school and received a scholarship to UT with plans to attend the prestigious McCombs School of Business, which I've heard is really tough to get into and even harder to do well in. So
Unless you have a lot of money and you pay the school off.
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah. So while living in Austin, Colton met two women of note, Jennifer Cave and Laura Hall, which we already know that Jennifer Cave was the one that was murdered. Anyway, Jennifer Cave grew up in Bishop, Texas, half an hour south of Corpus Christi, which is a few hours south of Austin. Jennifer was a shy girl that wasn't all that remarkable in school, but everything I've read said that everyone was just instantly drawn to her. She didn't often seem to focus on the future, but just enjoyed living in the present. She graduated high school in 2002 and set out on her way to San Marcos to attend Texas State the following semester, which at this time I think was Southwest Texas State. They changed their name. They've changed their name like 5 or 6 times.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a degree from Texas State was not in her future. She had started skipping classes, and her grades suffered. And then she was caught with a boy in her dorm room smoking pot.
Oh my God.
The horror.
Yeah. Yeah. They allowed her to finish the semester, but wouldn't be allowed back. Maybe because it wasn't a co-ed dorm. I don't know. Maybe.
Who knows?
I'm not sure. But yeah, it seems that's sometimes there are weird things like that around Texas. Anyway. After that, Jennifer moved with a boyfriend to Austin and started taking classes at Austin Community College, or ACC as the cool kids call it. Actually, everyone calls it that. It's probably what Colton called it when he took classes while suspended from UT for a DUI in 2003, which seemed kind of weird. He got a DUI, but he pleaded, and it didn't go on his record, but the school still had a problem with it, so suspended him.
Interesting.
So I don't know. Well, maybe it was part of his scholarship that there was a clause, like you have to be a good get
person.
Arrested for
that makes sense.
And stuff, but I'm not sure. Anyway, he and Jennifer probably didn't share any classes, but if they did, they probably wouldn't have met because Jennifer quickly lost interest in classes, and as she did before, she dropped out. She frequently skipped and eventually dropped out. Jennifer's mother, Sharon, grew increasingly worried about her daughter, but Jennifer would always say, "I'm fine, I'm happy." But that wasn't always the case. Jennifer had been struggling more and more with substance abuse, and Jennifer's family would always refer to 2004 as Jennifer's dark year. Pretty soon in 2004, Jennifer's boyfriend broke up with her. She took it pretty hard. She didn't show up for work when she was scheduled, and when she did finally show up, she was high.
That's always good.
Yeah. They fired her then and there. Apparently after the breakup, she went on a binge that lasted a few days.
As you do.
Her mother... Yeah. Her mother tried to get her help, but Jennifer kept insisting she was fine. That she used drugs, but she wasn't an addict.
Right.
You can do all you want, to help somebody, but a person really has to want to change.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Before,
totally.
Yeah. Then that's not until they hit rock bottom. And around this time, Colton was back at UT, and doing great, actually. But that is until spring break. He went off the deep end with alcohol, cocaine, and Xanax.
Oh, wow.
Which was his preferred cocktail for a while.
I'll stick with like rum and cokes and stuff. I don't know.
That's probably safer.
Yeah, I think so.
But it doesn't really give you that high that I don't know. And
But drugs.
you mix a little meth in there, and there, you got something.
You got a
there.
party.
Yeah, there you go.
Sounds horrible. Okay.
Is that how you do meth?
I don't know.
I don't know.
No, you smoke meth, right?
I don't know.
I don't know. Okay. Let's Google that later.
I drink beer.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
I'm fine with beer or wine. That's enough.
It was around this time that Colton and Jennifer met at a party. Like so many people in her life, he was instantly drawn to her. And as Sharon put it, she had a bad habit of seeing the best in bad people. She had a bad habit of picking up strays. But as people have said, Colton could be funny and smart and even downright charming. But he was also dealing drugs. Maybe because he was a business major and there's a high profit margin there. With dealing drugs, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's working pretty well for the Canadian government right now.
There you go.
Yeah.
As long as you don't do all the drugs. But that was something that Colton struggled with. Yeah, Colton was heavily into drugs at this point, and I'm not saying he brought Jennifer down with him, but he didn't help matters. Jennifer spent much of that summer with Colton. A friend said she would just disappear for days. While Colton was busy doing cocaine and Xanax, Jennifer was into ecstasy and meth.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, apparently, from what I was read, apparently that summer everybody was doing meth. It was just a thing to do. It wasn't considered dirty or anything. One of her friends said it was like drinking a cup of coffee.
Oh, shit.
It's like,
And she wasn't an addict,
yeah, you
right?
just, yeah, well, She said she wasn't. But yeah, you just wake up in the morning and hit the pipe, and you're good for the day, right?
Well, that's like cocaine in the 80s, right? It was just what people were doing.
Yeah, it's just cocaine's not safe anymore here because it's always cut with friggin'
Fentanyl.
Fentanyl? Oh, man. Yeah.
Scary times.
Yeah.
Don't do drugs.
Yeah.
Except for pot. 'Cause
Yeah.
No,
Barely.
don't smoke the devil's lettuce. Gotta stay away from the devil's lettuce.
Oh, my. Make a good salad, I'm sure.
Oh, fuck.
Sorry.
Me and salads go way back.
You don't get when friends with salad.
Remember my finger?
Oh, God damn it, Nina. Oh,
All right.
sorry.
All right, so after a while, Jennifer didn't want to be alone with Colton. She would always try to bring somebody with her. Which I wouldn't want to be that friend in that situation, hanging out while the two of them do meth in a studio apartment. It was 2004 after all. You couldn't even scroll Facebook. Where are you going to play Snake on a flip phone while they're high as hell? Or like,
At least that battery will last forever.
A flip phone, so fancy.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just had that little black brick.
The Nokia?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I still have mine.
Nice.
Well, you can't destroy it. It's indestructible.
Exactly.
It's an infinity stone.
There you go. Oh. So, as Jennifer told her mother, Colton wasn't her boyfriend, but he wanted to be. That's probably one of the reasons she didn't want to be around him that much. Also, he started to get controlling and angry when she would go out and do things without him. In addition to that, Colton's paranoia had started to get out of control. But he was still able to take classes at UT, which I don't get, but whatever. That fall, he should have been a senior, but he only had enough credits to be a sophomore. So I guess he wasn't going to class as often. Also, the DUI and the suspensions, I guess, were catching up.
And the meth.
Yeah, there you go. Well, I was reading that the cocaine and Xanax wasn't doing it for him after a while. So he mixed in the meth to really get it going. But that led to bad things. As it does, because it's meth. Around this time, Jennifer's roommate was tired of her constant partying. Plus, she didn't have a job at this time, so she couldn't pay rent, so she got kicked out. Where's Jennifer to go? Well, she starts living with Colton. To say their relationship was hard to understand would be an understatement. But that situation lasted only a month or so. Jennifer said she didn't feel safe there. It could have been all the people knocking on the door at all hours of the night because Colton was the West Campus Connect. So if you lived in that neighborhood, that's where you went for drugs. You went to his apartment. Or, more likely, it was just Colton. But we don't know. It's something that she never elaborated on. A little while after that, Colton would be forced into rehab, and Jennifer would be on friends' couches. That is until she met Scott. Scott was a bit older and had a little girl who she'll be fine. The little girl, not a problem. Anyway,
thank you. I was worried. These two don't care, but
No, I do care.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I love you guys. I was just kidding.
Scott understood Jennifer's drug problems. He had been there as a teenager, but after a rough night, he started backing off. And it says he didn't quit drugs, but he just stopped doing them as much. That still doesn't sound great to me, but
yeah, especially if he has a kid.
Yeah. And with his encouragement, Jennifer stopped. Well, she didn't stop doing drugs, but she did less drugs.
It's progress.
That, and she stopped hanging out with Colton. Well, because he was in rehab, so she couldn't see him. She and Scott talked about building a life together. They were getting serious. She had moved in, and Scott's daughter had even started calling her mom. Which, at 24, that's a big step. Mm-hmm. So Jennifer had called Scott her kindred spirit, and during this time, Colton found his own in Laura Hall. Well, sort of, in a way. Laura grew up in Crosby, Texas, about 15 minutes from Houston, a town of about 2,300 people as of the 2010 census. And I didn't look up things to do because there aren't things to do. There's a super Walmart, and they built an Applebee's a few years ago. So
height of food.
It's good too.
Yeah, I think they have 2 GameStops as well, which I don't understand that. But
Well, people need their video games.
there you go. Well,
Sorry,
there's
what's
nothing else to do
GameStop?
there.
They have them here too. It's a video game store.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
video game. Not since Tetris.
You just aged yourself
Still
real hard.
good.
I don't care. I'm old. Whatever.
Can't improve on Tetris. Laura was an only child that grew up calling her parents by their first names, and she got everything she wanted. Laura would hang out with smart kids in high school. She was captain of the debate team for a while, vaguely goth, and instead of drugs, she would be off reading vampire novels.
Vaguely goth.
But
So she
like
was
it.
like wearing dark gray?
vaguely. She didn't dress in all black or anything, but she was pale and
Okay.
read vampire novels, so vaguely.
So I'm vaguely goth.
Yeah.
Fucking Twilight and me, Holmes.
Yeah, well, this was
I'm pretty
before
bad.
Twilight. This was like 99, so it
would've
was
been-
Anne Rice and stuff like that.
Back when
Bram
vampires
Stoker.
burned in
Oh,
the sun
Buffy.
instead of sparkled.
Buffy?
Yeah, exactly.
I speak Buffy. Buffy was big in Germany when I was
There you
growing
go.
up.
Laura could never be described as a people person or kind, really.
Same.
People say she was rude without realizing it, but I'd say other people and their feelings just didn't factor into her life. Not many people liked her. I blame it on being an only child that gets everything you want.
Yep.
Her parents put her up on a pedestal, and basically she could do no wrong.
Nina.
Just-
Yeah, that's Nina.
oh, uh-oh.
You guys are a bunch of dicks.
Watch out.
No, but you're
a
not
single
some well
child.
off. Yeah.
Some people can handle it, and
Some
they grow up
people's
fine.
children,
but
I tell you.
You're
Oh,
still
kids.
a good person, Nina.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Kids are great.
That's true.
What?
So after high school, she moved to Austin to attend UT with hopes of getting into law. A neighbor said she played the isolated, rebellious chick to a T. At one point, Laura attended a Mormon church, which, Mike, you're big into the Mormon church, right?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
all things religion, right?
Ooh, religion's fun, yeah.
Funny.
And on
So,
another
yeah.
episode,
Right. So she attended a Mormon church. I don't know for how long. It's probably like 2 weeks. I don't know. A Mormon there said she was always trying to shock people, talking about sex and things, which I would have liked to see this interview with him. Sex and things. I don't know.
I'm starting to like this woman.
She was a fickle person, and she'd change her mind on a whim. She'd go along with anything. Once she told them how she thought she was a lesbian, but then changed her mind. You know how it is.
I mean, college, I guess.
Laura just craved attention. So Laura moved to Austin in 2002, which, well, that's what I read, but she graduated in 2001, so I don't know what she would have been doing for a year. Anyway, that might not be right, but it might be right. I don't know. Fast forward 2 years to 2004. At a friend's party, she meets Colton. So everything ties together. She was almost instantly obsessed, but he wasn't. Laura would refer to him as her boyfriend, but it said Colton didn't care about Laura except for sex.
It's always rough.
Yeah. If he didn't have anyone else to hang out with, then he would call Laura.
What a dickhead.
And she thought it was cool that he was a drug dealer. Friends said after they met, she started to change drastically. She was messed up all the time, looking strung out. She was an upper middle class white kid that started talking like she was from South Central LA.
what does that mean?
She was started talking about money and drugs constantly. Anytime they were together, she was hanging on Colton's every word and arguing with anybody that contradicted him. And this is not a person you want to argue with. She's captain of the debate team, after all. Despite that, Colton and Jennifer talked almost daily. He was in love with her, but he was only a friend to her. Early in the summer of 2005, Colton was sentenced to 60 days in jail for possession of a controlled substance. Something happened during a fit of paranoia. He called 911 a few times because people were trying to get into his apartment. Those people were Austin police knocking on the door.
You idiot.
And unfortunately, when he opened the door, he had some white powder on a mirror on his coffee table.
Oh, that goes
Of course
well.
he did.
Yeah, and so they were like, "Oh, what is that?" And it's like he said, "Some friends left that." It's like,
Sugar for my coffee. Okay, that's how I get up in the
Yeah.
morning.
It's
There you
baking
go.
soda. I was cleaning
Just
the mirror. It's
the-
fine.
there you go. That'll work.
Close enough.
It's mostly baking soda, right? Probably. I don't know.
It probably is mostly cut with baking
Oh.
soda.
Yeah. All baking soda has hints of cocaine in it, right?
Just like dollar bills.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Wait, do Canadian dollar bills have that too?
We
Or
don't
is it
have
just
dollar
Well,
American?
no, it's $5 bills.
If you can bend a loony,
Oh,
you're
wait,
doing some
yeah, I guess you
hardcore
can't.
meth. Like,
You can't take a loony and anyway.
Well, they're
Yeah.
trying to ban plastic straws, so I don't know what they're going to do with our bills these days.
no, they gave us plastic money. Freaking monopoly
Mm,
money.
Jeez, I don't know.
I like our money. I mean, not
Except
because
the
it's
thing,
money,
though, if the money gets cold, it actually freezes and he can crack it in half.
Why
Oh,
are you
no.
putting your money in the freezer, Nina?
No, okay, well, there's people in Canada that live in snow where it gets cold.
Yes, thank you. I'm from Ontario.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the current money, the plastic, it freezes and you can snap it in half. Logistically speaking, that's stupid. And why does it smell like maple syrup? Not everyone likes maple
Well-
syrup.
What are you doing with your money?
Well, if you scratch the maple, it smells like maple syrup.
What are you talking
I'm the least
about?
Canadian person in this fucking room, and I know this.
You're insane.
Are you kidding me? I have a $50 bill. Do you want to smell it?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do.
I just want to hold it because it's cash.
Well, because every Canadian dollar bill has been used to snort maple syrup at one time, right? So,
probably
Right. Sorry.
Obviously.
Duh.
tangent.
Okay.
And we're back.
so while Colton was in jail, Jennifer was able to get her life together. Spoiler alert, she doesn't. During this time, though, she starts having doubts about being tied down. She wasn't really ready to be a mother. Believe me, it's a lot of hard work. So,
Yeah.
Are you a single mom?
yeah. No. I had a dream once that no, never mind. So she and Scott decided to take a step back, and she moved in with a friend. Pretty soon, she was back to hanging out with Colton, who had served 20 days of his 60-day sentence. And, of course, he was back on meth, too.
Of course.
Right.
Well, and she was back on meth as well, sorry. Meth and Colton in her life were connected, really. Also, it was a felony for the possession, and then it was pleaded down to a misdemeanor, so that's why he only had 60 days. But while he was in there, he got a jailhouse tattoo on his back that said felon, but exactly it didn't exactly say felon. It said fell on.
Amazing. Yes.
No regrets.
So,
No regrets is exactly what I was going to say. Nina. Yes.
and they said it was a back tattoo, so I imagine a lower back tattoo because that was
Tramp
very
stamp.
popular at the time, right?
Yeah.
It's like yeah.
Hey guys,
There you go.
someone in the room might have a tramp stamp, so let's calm down on the tramp stamp.
Okay.
I'm just saying it was popular.
Is
It's
it
not-
spelt wrong?
No
though?
judgment. So anyway, Meth and Colton were connected in Jennifer's life, and she felt powerless to give up either. But she decided to try. She wanted to finally get her life back on track, like she had so many times before. So she tried to distance herself from Colton. Then on August 15th, something great happened. Jennifer interviewed for a part-time job at a small law firm. The next day, they hired her to start immediately.
Wow.
She excitedly accepted.
Yay.
Apparently, her boss was so impressed that after a few hours of work, offered her a full-time position.
Wow.
She was hired and promoted all in one day.
Good for
She
her.
was so excited, she made a new vow to get her life on track,
Huzzah.
finally, and stop doing drugs and get back in school. So she called everyone to tell them the good news. She called everyone, including Colton.
Jeez.
And they made plans to go out and celebrate the good news. They went out to 6th Street, which 6th Street here is an area downtown. It's lined with bars and clubs on both sides. Like, there's nothing else. It's just bar, 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 club, bar, bar, club, 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 bar, bar.
Okay,
Like on
so
both
it's like
sides of the
Vancouver's Granville
Grenville.
Street.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Usually
or
lots of
Hastings.
fights and violence and stuff at about 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Horrible place to be
Yeah,
in.
no, that happens, of course, because it's just flooded with drunk college kids. They close
Exactly.
off the streets to traffic, and it's just, yeah,
We have the exact
people
same
just
street
stumble
here.
down the street all night.
Horrible.
And then there's 6th, and then there's Dirty 6th. And these days isn't as dirty as it was, but it's not a place you'd want to go down to. And then there's 4th Street, and that's the gay street, but they didn't go to Oil Can Harry's that night, which is a
Oil
popular
Can
bar.
Harry's, huh?
Yeah.
4th Street. I've got
They have
it.
drag nights a lot and stuff. I don't know.
I love
But
it.
anyway, I've never
So
been
yeah,
there.
Beck, you might
myself.
go there then.
Yes, I will remember. Not that I'm going to Texas.
Yeah. So they didn't go there, but they could have because there isn't a whole lot known about what they did that night, except that Colton lost his phone, tried to break into a car, but then just ended up peeing on it. It was, which you can't do. There are police there, and that's against the rules. Peeing in public is
Yeah.
Yeah.
you will
I
get
think that's
you'll
a
get at least a
worldwide
ticket. I
law.
don't know. It was after 1 a.m. and Jennifer had her second day of work in the morning. She decided to help Colton find his phone and get home. because she's trying to be responsible.
Oh, of course, yeah. Being out to 1 a.m.
Yeah.
and all.
Mm-hmm.
On a school.
Wait,
So-
how old is she at this point?
24, 5?
Yeah, so
24, I
that's
believe,
not
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Being out till 1 and then going to work in the morning isn't really
Yeah,
abnormal.
at 24, you can,
bounce
like-
back quick in the morning.
Yeah. Just smoke some meth and you're
No.
you're good.
Coffee?
I
No,
was
it's
thinking,
meth.
like, have some water and crackers before you go to sleep. And
Yeah.
be stupid, but
Yeah, well, yeah. Not to advocate smoking meth, probably.
no,
No,
I know.
Not a good idea. Okay. So on the next day, Jennifer's mom, Sharon, got a call from Jennifer's boss. Apparently, she hadn't shown up for work that day.
Ah, shit.
Yeah, Sharon hung up and tried to call Jennifer herself. When that didn't work, she called Jennifer's ex-boyfriend, Scott, but he hadn't seen her. Then she called the woman Jennifer was living with. She hadn't seen her either. Sharon was understandably worried. Since Jennifer was on her plan, she was able to get the last few numbers going in and out of her cell phone. One was the ex that she had already called. Next, she called Michael Rodriguez, one of Jennifer's friends. He said she had been out on 6th Street with a friend named Colton. Colton was on the list of Jennifer's last calls, but he was hard to get a hold of. When she did finally manage to speak to him, he said he hadn't seen her the night before and ended the call quickly. So Sharon tried to call back, but again, he was hard to get on the phone. When she talked to him a second time, he admitted to seeing her, but then they split up around 8. And according to Sharon, he said, "Dude, I'm eating pizza with my friends. Please leave me alone."
Priorities.
And Sharon wouldn't leave it at that. Of course, The next day, she and her fiancé made a trip up to Austin. When they got to Colton's apartment, they noticed Jennifer's car was there. They knocked the door, but no one answered. So they called the police to get in the apartment. But when they got there, they said they couldn't go in without probable cause. So they called a locksmith, which I thought you had to have proof of, living there to have a locksmith. Just like open the door. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, he couldn't unlock the deadbolt. And looked like they weren't getting in, but Sharon's fiance Jim was able to jimmy open open a window and get in. By this time, it was late in the evening, and Colton's blackout curtains were drawn, as they always were. So it was hard to see much in the disheveled apartment. Jim made his way down the hall to the bathroom. He turned on the light and saw most of Jennifer's body in the bathtub. She was shot, stabbed numerous times, and her head and hands were in a garbage bag next to the tub.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Of course, Colton was nowhere to be found. He and Laura had driven to Mexico late the night before. They were only there for 4 days before the local police took them into custody and handed them over to the U.S. Marshals at the border. Laura would later tell them that she thought they were just taking a vacation. One of her many stories, she also said she was a hostage and in fear for her life.
That's a weird vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what happened in the apartment? Not many people know what happened for Jennifer's murder. Colton claims not to remember, and no one heard the gunshots that killed her. Colton was likely on a mixture of alcohol, meth, and Xanax, so he was probably in a blackout. And when he came out of it, he walked into the bathroom and saw Jennifer's body. Some point early in the morning, he called Laura, who was staying at a friend's. She woke up and said, "Colton called. I need a ride to my car." So, 7 a.m. Come on. I don't know. Don't wake me up to say Colton called. Anyway, so she showed up sometime that morning, and Colton took her to the bathroom to show her Jennifer's body. They discussed what they would do, and later that day, Colton was at a hardware store buying latex gloves, carpet cleaner, dust mask, ammonia, shop towel, odor eliminator, and a hacksaw.
Jesus.
Which he said he needed to cut up a frozen turkey. And then he stopped at
What?
Burger King on the way back, as you do.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah. I
weird
don't
at
know
all.
why he would even say what he needed the hacksaw for, but
When
maybe
you're
the guy
guilty,
asked.
you're trying to make up excuses.
Yeah, there you go.
Why are you cutting a frozen turkey?
With a hacksaw.
Well, with anything.
It wouldn't fit in the pot. I don't know. Yeah, I don't
But
know.
why are you cooking it frozen then? Don't be stupid. You're
Yeah.
gonna get salmonella.
He's a college kid. I don't know. Why does he have a whole turkey in the first place? I don't know.
Can
Yeah.
a college kid afford a turkey?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're expensive.
Well,
Oh, he's a drug dealer. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
there you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course. So we aren't sure whose idea it was to cut up the body, but in a later appeal, people testified on separate occasions that Laura had said she was the mastermind. that she had cut up a body and that the weirdest part was the sound of sawing through bone. One of Colton's neighbors had also testified that Laura was frustrated that Colton sat on the couch drinking instead of finishing the job. All we know is someone cut off her head and hands, stabbed her multiple times, and shot her in the head.
Jesus Christ.
Though they didn't shoot her in the head until after it was cut off.
What?
Because it was fired up through her neck. It's like up into her brain.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
They must have been high at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But again, nobody heard the shot somehow. I want to live in that apartment. Can't hear anything through the walls. Thick walls. I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely don't have those in my apartment.
Same.
But they gave up on that plan pretty quickly. I'm not sure what their backup plan was. I guess they were just going to run away to Mexico and hope everything worked out. Colton was arrested immediately, and Laura was released and free to go, but not before she caused a scene with the arresting officers, proclaiming her innocence and her undying support for Colton. So much support, in fact, when she got back home, she got a Colton tattoo on her ankle.
Oh, my God.
Just his name, not like his face or anything, because that would be weird. Right.
She should have gotten fell on her back.
Yeah.
In memoriam.
Yeah. But within the next month, she would be arrested and charged with the tampering of evidence and hindering the apprehension of a wanted person. Colton's trial wasn't too long and drawn out. Even though he pleaded not guilty, he said he didn't remember shooting her, but he must have done it. And his parents testified that he was such a good boy. His mother said that he would never kill Jennifer because he loved her. Jennifer's mother testified, and Laura pleaded the fifth in order to not incriminate herself. Do they have that in Canada? Can you do that?
Yeah.
I know you don't have the fifth, right? But
I don't know if you can do that actually here.
Pretty sure you can.
I know they can't trick you into, like, they don't have they can't do the Mr. Big thing anymore, right?
Yeah, that stopped a few years
Right.
Yeah.
They can't pretend to be a gangster and trick you into saying that you're doing anyway. Trick you into committing crimes.
We did
Damn
a case
Canadian
like that.
police.
Yeah.
So Laura pleaded the fifth, but after it was all said and done on January 29th, 2007, Colton was sentenced to 55 years for first-degree murder. He'll be eligible parole after serving half his sentence, or 30 years that I found out in Texas. If you have a life sentence after 30 years, you're eligible for parole.
Interesting.
So half of his sentence is just south of that. So he could be out in 2033, but they could keep him in until 2060.
Fingers
Later
crossed.
that year... What's that?
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he doesn't need to be out. Later that year, Laura was convicted of her charges. Neither of them were charged with desecration of a corpse, because in Texas at the time it was just a misdemeanor.
Jesus.
So it's just a fine, you know.
Oh, my God.
But when they had the law is from like the 1800s, so
Yeah.
they weren't thinking of people, you know, cutting up a body. They were thinking of grave robbers, I guess.
I guess when it comes down to it, usually when you murder someone, they go for the death penalty anyways in Texas, right? So
Yeah.
you don't really need that at that point because they're already going to die usually.
Yeah. Used to be Old Sparky, now it's Old Squirty. So.
Old Squirty.
I haven't heard that.
Yeah. So they couldn't prove that Laura was involved, or even if she had been involved with the killing. They could only find her DNA on a shop towel, one of Jennifer's shoes, and on Colton's gun. But as everybody said, Colton had the gun for a while, so she could have just touched it before then.
Yeah, for sure.
None of her DNA was on the buck knife found in the apartment, the machete found in the dishwasher, or the hacksaw found on Jennifer. All the prosecution had at the time was a former cellmate that testified that Laura had told her that she was in charge of the mutilation. But she was found not to be credible, so in the end she was found guilty, but was only sentenced for 5 years for the mutilation and not the 10 years they had hoped for. Plus 1 year for the Mexican vacation. But it didn't end there. Colton tried to appeal twice. Both were rejected. He still claimed to not have any memory of what had happened, and said that there were witnesses that heard Laura say that she had been in charge during a group therapy session. But that wasn't enough to get a new trial, so fuck off, back to jail. Well, he never got out of jail in the first place. So anyway.
That's good, yeah.
But Laura's defense appealed too, because there was a cab driver that testified during her sentencing about picking her up, and the conversation naturally turned to her boyfriend being on trial for murder. As it does. Often, yeah.
Of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He said, who is he accused of killing? And she said, some bitch.
Oh, classy.
But, which, that didn't go over well with the jury, or anybody in the courtroom anyway. But it turns out the cab driver couldn't pick her out of a photo lineup, and the district attorney didn't share that with the defense. So the sentence was thrown out, but the conviction was upheld. But don't worry, they had a resentencing. All this time, she professed her innocence to the media and law enforcement. Unfortunately for Laura, when you make phone calls from prison, they record them.
Oh, my God.
And during her resentencing trial, they played about an hour and a half of phone calls, mostly to family members. I have a couple here that I could find. I couldn't find all of them, which there's some stuff, but here's a couple.
That who did? That yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the way she always sounds. She's just mad because I'm not dead.
Right. She's mad because
she's a psychopath.
She's mad because I have a daughter and you're not dead. She doesn't have a daughter.
Yeah, so she's jealous.
They had an interview with that girl's mother again.
She's going down.
Anyway, yeah. So they should invest in better phones at the jail, I think. I don't know, because there's a lot of noise there. But yeah, in all the phone calls, she never refers to her as Jennifer or anything. Always the dead girl or the dead girl's mom or stuff like that. She had a 48 Hours episode about her, and there was a phone call about asking her mom how she looked on it. She was really really concerned about that. And then there was a particular one where she threatened to kill her mother because she wouldn't pay her bail. So there's that.
That'll get you out of jail.
Yeah. So yeah, she had there's the phone calls. That plus she wouldn't stop telling people in jail how she did it. Even admitting to the murder, she even told one inmate that she would find out who was on the jury. And don't do that, or at least don't tell people about it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Keep your damn mouth shut.
In her defense, Laura's father said she suffers from bipolar disorder. So that'll lead you to chop up a body.
Oh, of course, yeah.
So during the resentencing, instead of 5 years, Laura was sentenced to 10 years plus 1 year.
Nice.
Yeah. So with time served and all that, she's scheduled to be released August 2018, which was last year. Mm-hmm. But on March 15, 2018, sadly, she was paroled. And so she's out. But she's not allowed to come back to Travis County. And we know how she, obeys the law.
Yeah, so hopefully she'll go back to Travis County then.
Yeah, well, I hope not. Anyway.
Well, I just hope then she'll go right
gets
back
picked
to jail.
up right away. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There you go.
Get her back where she belongs.
So
Silver lining.
Yeah. So that's the story of Jennifer Cave's murder.
Wow.
It's a brutal case, but thanks for sharing.
Yeah. Also, I went to high school with Laura, so that
was.
Oh, wow.
Did you know her?
Yeah. I was one of the kids that hung out with her. We had lunch all during junior year, but anyway.
Wow.
But I didn't want to put myself in the story there. So.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's definitely a deeper tie-in, though, then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I was friends, but,
Acquaintances.
Hi, everyone. This is Cutter.
Tony. Ross.
Joel.
And Clint from 3 Beers In,
a proud member of the Hopped Up Network.
Each episode, we review a local Austin craft beer and talk about
Clove and Bananas,
references I don't get, and Academy Award winner Matthew McConaughey.
So tune in,
crack open a beer,
and hang out with us.
Find us on hoppedupnetwork.com, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Podbean, or on 3beersinpodcast.com.
This is the podcast.
So the hometown story that I'm going to talk about is about just the soccer rivalry between...
But there's crime involved, right? Or
There's a couple of shootings and people dying, yes.
We'll get into that, yeah.
Oh.
We'll get into that, but it's talking about the Crvena Zvezda, or Red Star, as they're called, and Partizan, and their ongoing battle. So for today, I actually found a local liquor store that sells good Serbian beer, similar to the soccer rivalry.
Rivalry.
Thank you. There are also 2 competing beers. There's a Yellen Pivo and Love Pivo. Personally, I like Yellen Pivo, but we can't find it. I couldn't find it. So we have Love instead. And it's a lager, obviously. Maybe Mike can talk about it while I drink it.
I'm not excited about
Any English on here?
No.
Looks like it's bottled by Carlsberg
Oh, nice.
and then imported
Not
to
really.
Vancouver. Not a lot of info on it.
I think one of the slogans is like the king of beers or something.
That makes sense because of the
Oh.
lion.
Because it's a lion.
Budweiser might have something to say about that.
Budweiser and Serbia are not a thing.
Yes, that's true. It's got kind of a citrusy, lemony nose to it, at least to me.
It smells like lager.
Yeah, but yeah, a little bit grainy. Definitely a lager.
Love it.
Nina,
I'm not smelling corn syrup
Wow.
or rice though, so that's a
Nina
good
drank
thing.
all of hers, and I haven't had a sip yet because the smell is not appealing.
Well, good thing our listeners can't smell it.
Yeah, it's kind of bready, grainy. A little bit of citrus, lemony notes in there. Kind of grassy.
It tastes drastically better than it smells.
But it's nice because for it's probably a macro lager from there. Looking at it, it's done by Carlsberg, but it doesn't have that sickly sweet corn syrup or rice kind of thing going on. It's not bad. I'm not a lager person, so it's not my thing.
Right.
Yeah,
but
same.
It's definitely Nina's thing.
How
All right,
fitting,
well
how
let's
fitting.
get into the story here.
So for my hometown crime, similar to what Beck had mentioned, I was really stoked that I wasn't able to find any serial killers or active ones anyway. However, a lot of the history that Serbia is related to is, of course, the Balkan War that happened between 1990 and 1995. And there's a lot of war crime and political crime, and there's essentially a genocide that happened. I personally do not want to talk about any of that or talk about the war crime part. I lost my dad in the war, I lost other family in the war, and I just want to make sure that I don't put my foot in my mouth and say something I shouldn't. So I'm just going to stay away from the war topic and talk about soccer instead. To be completely transparent, I know fuck all about soccer. I know there's a ball and there's goals, and I think there's 9 or 11 players. And
There's some people on the field.
and they run in opposed.
And they pretend they're hurt. That's, yeah.
Yeah.
Not Serbs, because
No,
we're
I'm sure.
not pussies. Did I
It was
say
out
that?
loud.
Just
It
about
was
getting
out
the
loud,
fair
yeah.
chance. It's
Yeah. Okay, so talk about my hometown. I was born in Brčko, which is a district in the Republic of Serbia. When I was born, it was still technically called Yugoslavia, and then the war happened, and the country split up. Currently, it's recognized as Bosnia-Herzegovina, Serbia and Montenegro, and Croatia, or some people call it Hrvatska.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, yeah.
Well, I'm bilingual, so no big deal.
Actually, I'm trilingual. You know?
I'm singular lingual.
Barely. With kind of my history, I left, we moved out of Serbia when I was 3, after my dad died in the war, and we moved to Germany. Lived in Germany for just about 8.5 years before immigrating to Canada in 2000. In Serbia, sports are definitely a way of culture, a way of life. The main sports are soccer and basketball. Of course, when talking about Serbia, you can't not talk about tennis, and specifically Novak Djokovic, who's been world #1 ranked in the ATP. Beck, obviously, you know my mom. She's a huge Djokovic fan.
She really is, yeah.
Yeah, when she went to China, she didn't go see the Great Wall. She went to a tournament to go see Djokovic.
Yeah, I heard.
But, I mean, he's, as a Serbian...
well, the
he's
Great Wall's there forever.
Yeah.
But it's the Great... I don't know. I mean, Djokovic...
you can see it from space, so... I mean, if
Actually,
you can
not
see it
true.
from anywhere...
You can't really, no.
No.
Well, you can see everything from space if you zoom in enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Which...
Yeah, but I mean, he's considered a national treasure, so any opportunity to meet Djokovic, of course, is a thing. Okay, so talking about soccer, which I'm super crazy about, there are a couple of groups that play in Serbia, and the fans are called Ultras, as Ultra fans. And they have a very violent reputation, mostly focused on a couple events that have happened at matches at the Red Star, or Crvena Zvezda, or Partizan. So I'm just going to call them Red Star, even though technically the name is Crvena Zvezda, just because it's more
Because we don't know what you're
Canadianized.
saying.
Yeah.
Well, Crvena
There you
Zvezda
go.
literally translated is Red Star, and it just sounds...
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Good, great. These groups are involved in one of Serbia's most infamous paramilitary groups. The Serbian Volunteer Guards, or Arkan Tigers, was funded by a group of Red Star Belgrade fans in 1990. The group's leader, Željko Raznatović, also known as Arkan. Arka came to own a soccer club called FK Obilić. This club won a title in 1997 and ran off a string of 47 consecutive victories.
Wow.
And a lot of people think that's because Arkan had his military present at the games.
Oh.
Don't want to fuck with that team.
But it's okay. They only had their AK-47s out facing the crowd, and if you're cheering for the wrong team, they fire off shots in the air as a warning.
Oh, okay. That's safe.
Totally
yeah.
fine. Yeah. So they were apparently threatening the other team, coaches, and their fans. So I'm not really sure how great of an actual soccer team they were, but in this 1 year, FK Obilić just dominated soccer in our country.
But the players can't feel good about those wins. You know what I mean? Unless they're stupid.
Oh, they probably don't care. They got the trophy or whatever.
But
who doesn't want a plastic trophy?
But I think here it's more just it's the politic and the politician that's supporting you.
Yeah.
And then your fans have in voting rights. If you're a true fan, you're going to vote for what I want, which is how they've been able to push a lot of their own agendas. And this is political agendas. There was one reported example where an opposing player was held and actually locked in a garage before a game, and his family was threatened that if he still had to show up to the game because him not showing up looks worse, but he had to show up and play poorly to ensure the other team won.
Jeez.
And you're also not going to mess with these guys. I mean, really mixed reviews depending on who you ask and where they were during the war. Let's just talk about the two teams quickly. So in 1945, Red Star was established as the name of the club. It was directly a clear sign to the communist regime. The main symbol was a red 5-pointed star. And not long afterwards, Red Star also took its jersey colors from Yugoslavia, and they became very famously known throughout Europe. In the exact same year in October, power struggle started happening, and some capital was given to the House of the Yugoslavian Army. Communist authorities helped pave the club's creation, and it was very obviously formed by the Yugoslav army and many high-ranking military officials. The club's management was very clear from day one that Red Star and Partizan had a lot of financial advantages, as well as backing by important military officials and government officials. Both teams have definitely been involved in a lot of political happenings. For example, Red Star is the more popular team, let's say, and the way that they have swung their vote for anything military or political related in the last 30 years has always gone their way. So their fans are loyal and they will die for their team.
Jeez.
And they're going to vote whatever way they tell them.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it is. I love sports, but come on.
But I mean,
it has nothing to do with politics.
Yeah.
I mean, for us.
But by us, it's if your team is funded and it's politically driven, you are going to support what your team says and does, and that's just what it is. So needless to say, the feud between the two teams has reigned for more than 70 years. The first match between the two took place in January of 1947, and it ended in a 4-3 win for Red Star. Let's talk about all the conflict and the kind of crimes that are happening. So it's not necessarily something like what you guys had talked about where there's murders, chopped up heads in bathtubs. Not, we're not that weird.
It was
that's
outside the bathtub. It wasn't in the bathtub.
It's more of a Merca thing. I don't know. Yeah, so the big thing that they have is anytime that Partizan and Red Star meet, they're called eternal derbies. So an eternal derby refers to any professional match between the two clubs. When the two teams meet, it becomes a huge attraction for many young people and, of course, any visitors to Belgrade. The matches take place at the Rajko Mitic Stadium. The gatherings before the matches and the parties after almost always result in some type of riot. The stadiums are always packed, and in most instances, there are actually flares that are smuggled into the stadiums and shot at each other and riot police.
Jeez.
Fun.
Yep. Illegal fireworks are also brought in and set off.
There you go. I was going to say bottle rockets. That would be... I don't know if you have bottle rockets.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what goes on in Canada.
Yeah, it's a little harder to get fireworks here. You can get fireworks on like Halloween and I think Canada Day, and that's about it.
New Year's.
Or New Year's.
Halloween?
No. In
What
Ontario, anytime.
Oh, really?
Any day.
In British Columbia, in
It's
BC
so
here,
different.
it's hard to get them. They only sell them at certain times of the year.
Yeah, I'd never seen fireworks on Halloween until I moved to BC.
It's weird. Blowing up pumpkins.
Weird.
Well, you got to do something with them.
Yeah. What are they going to do? Just rot on the doorstep? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
The ultras, as they're called. And ultras refers to either of the team's fan base. Essentially, they make each show a high-energy event. Essentially, it's just a mix for destruction, right? You get a bunch of huge fans together, huge rivals,
Right.
not even necessarily in the sport, but just they're coming from two political different backgrounds. You throw in some alcohol in the mix and a bunch of testosterone.
Hey.
Everything I found is just males that are involved in this hooliganism. Is
Never.
one. I know, right?
That's a fun word.
I know, and I said it.
Hooliganism.
I enunciated it. Anyways, throw all of that together. Naturally, you're just going to get some type of confrontation, and that's just inevitable.
Yeah.
Altogether, there have been 155 derbies, and so far, Red Star holds 62 wins and Partizan 46, and that was just the last stat as of March 16th of 2018. So the teams are still functioning, they're still playing, and this is still happening all the time. I definitely implore you to Google Eternal Derbies, and all you see is views and videos of the crowds and flares. It just looks like a sea of red.
It's just an excuse for like jackassery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just getting together and like, let's all be assholes. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully no one dies, but probably they will.
And that leads me to my next point.
Yeah, I'm not sure they're hoping nobody else dies.
Yeah.
Everybody
No
on
one
the
from
other
their
team.
side.
I don't know.
The police are probably
But yeah.
hoping that.
There you go.
I mean, I agree that the police are hoping that, but at the same time, the police is employed by different political sides of the party. So it's just depending who is home, who's away that time, and what guard you have standing where they're standing. So
Right.
I by no means am going to imply that they are supporting the violence.
Yeah.
But it's such a hard... my mom is a Red Star fan, which by means is I'm a Red Star fan.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's in your blood, and it is what it is, right? So I
You
can
just
see,
don't watch soccer, that's all.
Oh, I can give two tits about soccer. But
You could give two tits about soccer.
two whole tits, but like, yeah, I could care less. But I mean, if the guards, if that's also their mentality that this is my team and that's a Partizan fan, I'd like to think that everyone's going to be a better person and protect if someone were to be in danger. But I mean, what's a little punch to the face? You'll be fine. Just put some ice on it. Put some beans on it.
Put some beans on it.
What?
Yeah.
Frozen beans.
Right? Obviously.
Duh.
We put steak on it.
Yeah, well, serve
put a steak up.
It conforms to the face.
Don't
like,
waste a
I don't
steak.
know. No, you cook it afterwards.
Oh, gross.
It gets
fat.
marinated.
Yeah,
It's salty.
marinated.
It's marinated
God.
in our opposing fans' victory blood.
Okay.
Are you part Serb? Because that sounds very...
I'm not.
So speaking to Beck's point, yeah, people actually die at these events. There was a Red Star fan in 1999 who was actually killed by a rocket fired by a Partizan fan. So it was a fire rocket that was lit off in the stand to stand, killed.
Dang.
In 2013, 104 arrests were made following clashes before, during, and after in one derby. That same year, they actually set fire to the entire stadium.
Oh, God.
Well, they lit the seats on fire.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Wait, what are the seats made out of?
On purpose or on it accidentally?
Oh, no, on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
usually made out of plastic.
Exactly.
But they used to have a fabric that was covering it,
Yeah.
which now they don't anymore.
Right.
So it's a fabric that got lit. In 2015, there was a match that was actually delayed for over 45 minutes because of crowd-troubled fans. They were actually throwing seats and flares at riot police. They weren't able to light the seats, so they actually were ripping them out of the ground and throwing them at each other. Personally, reading on all the destruction that they did to the actual stadium, I mean, we don't come from a lot of wealth.
Yeah.
So it's like you do have a beautiful stadium,
Right.
and why are you destroying
Yeah.
your own? Because let's consider this: these both two competing teams are from the same city.
Yeah.
So it's not, I don't know.
It's like punching yourself in the face.
they don't have their own stadium, and
No, you're actually
destroying
sharing
somebody
your
else's.
stadium. Yeah,
Right.
That's amazing. These two teams that hate each other and the whole political thing, and they're sharing the same stadium.
But
if
I mean-
any two teams should get along, it's like these two that have to
Yeah.
share.
You have to
a
make sure
home.
you schedule practice
Oh, yeah. How
correctly.
does that
Well,
work?
no, they practice on military grounds.
Oh,
okay.
yes.
Duh.
Yeah.
Common sense, right?
Old minefield.
Yeah, so they've been saying that over the last couple of years, it's actually gotten a lot better, and I'm going to use air quotes. So the reason that it's improved is because it's a full-time military presence has to be there, and police presence as like the, what is it, when it's like another outside party? Because the police isn't controlled by
party?
the military, apparently.
Yeah.
So they say.
It's funny. The problem was that the military was there, but then we have to keep them there, so there isn't a problem.
But no, you keep the military there, and you actually bring in the police to police the military.
Jeez.
It makes me wonder how much
But-
money they're spending to prevent themselves from being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, they tried to implement new things to the stadium, like checking if you have fucking flares on you, because, why not, right?
Flare detector.
Yeah, where are you hiding those flares?
Butts.
Prison wallet.
Well,
Poo flares.
My people are good people.
Prison wallet.
So there was one example where there was actually no flares that were lit at this particular derby. However, some Partizan fans got Red Star jerseys and lit the jerseys on fire and made a string, like they tethered them. And there's a YouTube video on it, so it's great. There was another huge brawl in 2017 where 26 people were arrested, 20 were seriously injured. Croatia's ministry advised that some of the injured were hospitalized, and Belgrade officials stated that several of these people had actually serious head injuries and burns. So the burns are coming because they're firing flares at each other.
Obviously.
And something that's curious is if you care to do the research and kind of just see some of the pictures from the derbies, a lot of the men are shirtless, and that's because their shirts are singed and burned off. So when they leave the match, they're half undressed.
Jeez.
Another good reason for there
those
not
jerseys
being
aren't
women there.
cheap. Come on.
I mean, but this is the perfect place to maybe find a husband. You know, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that place doesn't exist for me, right? But
That's true.
Okay.
Right, but I'm going to Belgrade on Friday. So hopefully I will find a singed husband.
no, ew. You are so much better than some idiot that would go participate in this nonsense.
I mean, I don't want to say that every single person that's there, but I think everyone has a agenda of what they'd like to see here. I mean, people go to see the shit show. Right? A lot of the research I found, people aren't like, oh, I want to see the great soccer match that's going to happen, you know, this guy and this artist. It's more like, no, we're going to fuck these guys up. Did you bring your flares in your prison pocket? So, yeah. In 2016, there was another instance where they actually ended up suspending the game entirely because the night prior to the game, a fight broke out between two of the fan bases. And it led throughout the entire night, and there was so many arrests that they just couldn't even support to have the protection at the match.
Wow.
Yep. Also, this violence sometimes extends to places other than the stadium. In 2014, in an early morning, it was a Red Star Ultra fan who was attacked in a car parking lot in front of a nightclub. He was shot and killed, and his girlfriend was seriously injured. There's also another incident where a 34-year-old man was considered one of the leaders of the ultra party of the Partizan side, and he was also shot and killed. Shots into his head and chest. What's curious about this one is that the attacker is, and all the articles I found put like unknown, and that's, sorry, I'm holding a tablet, but both the fingers are doing the thing.
Yeah.
Finger quotes.
Air quotes.
Air quotes.
Yeah.
And everyone apparently knows who did it, and they know it was a opposing fan base. However, because of the integration of the military and political stuff, you, God forbid, you can't fib and say who it was, because then you're putting a target in your own back and your family's back. So
Don't be a rat.
don't be a snitch. Snitches get, in this case, shot.
Stitches.
Yeah.
Oh, shot. Dang.
Yeah. That's
it's-
a little more than stitches, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I mean, you
they-
can get shot and get stitches, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. They
I
can
don't know.
sew up the bullet wound, but Serbs are pretty good on
There you go.
accuracy, so you shoot to kill. Bullets are expensive. I don't know, make it count. Yeah, so basically that's just what I wanted to share for my hometown.
Wow.
I mean, you know, that's way rougher than we have at home. But, I mean, we're not perfect either. We had the riots in 2011 where there was, what does it say here?
Stupid Boston.
There was, one person critically injured and 3 seriously injured. So,
That was stupid.
Yeah, but there's idiots everywhere, right?
But I guess the thing is with that being, you know, the riot that happened with the Stanley Cup, that was our one event. This
Wow,
is
that
every
was-
derby. This is arrests and serious injuries.
That was actually not our one. It was our second.
Okay, you're second
Yeah.
in 20 years.
What was the first
Oh
one?
yeah,
94?
I don't think
Oh.
he's trying to compare apples
No.
to apples.
No,
he's
no,
just
no.
saying
There's a lot of idiots. that-
stupidity is worldwide.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of idiot, stupid sports fans that get
Yeah.
a little too interested in their sports team.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I mean,
Doug
that's
Flutie would never stand for that.
Yeah, exactly.
that's the thing too, is, interesting researching this, because I was trying to find this player and that player, but everything it talked about was just the political side of it and the backing that it had. And it's just crazy for me to think that a soccer club has that much political control over what's happening in its own country,
Yeah.
simply by being able to swing a vote to their interest, to
Yeah.
their club's interest, I should say.
Let's hope the this year's Canadian Football League season isn't bad with the political issues between BC and Alberta. Damn
Oh
pipelines.
man.
It's getting pretty serious, actually.
Not like that though. That's
Well, we'll see.
next level.
The new Alberta government's kind of scary.
Fair.
Okay. Well,
Very, very racist and bigotous, so we'll see.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not good. It's really not good. They got a province that's angry about struggling with work right now, and they just voted for a group that matched their anger, unfortunately.
Well, Alberta has the best beef, right?
In
Alberta
Canada.
beef.
In Canada, yeah.
I don't know if it's as good as Texas. I'm not going to cause a fight there.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't say. I should have said in Canada, right?
Exactly. Don't want to start another fucking
And-
riot now.
over beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got beef? Ha
Don't want to cause a beef here, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Anyways, so yeah, Serbs are pretty good people. Just don't fucking talk to us about soccer. And yeah.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
would be a problem for me.
Yeah, no doubt.
If I didn't like soccer before, I wouldn't like it now.
I already don't watch the Whitecaps, so yeah, I don't know.
Just don't-
No, but I think I'm going to go visit the stadium when I'm there next week, just to see it. It's a beautiful stadium. I mean, I don't know if there's a derby right before I get there, if there's going to be seats in the fucking thing, but if there's seats, I'll try to look. Or blood
Get some
dries.
photos of the blood, yeah.
Well, no, it's been raining
Yeah.
for a couple of days, so it'll be
Okay.
washed out. But we'll
Oh, washed away. Yeah.
see. Whatever.
Get it ready for the next episode, right?
That's crazy.
Hey, this is Mike of Brew Crime. Have you heard of the newish podcast app Podcoin yet? This is the first podcast app that will actually pay you to listen to your favorite podcasts. You can find this podcast app on Android and iPhone, and not only is it free, but it's simple and easy to use. Even if you've had a few too many brews, listen to this podcast. While listening to episodes, you gain Podcoins that can be used to buy gift cards or even be donated to charity. So either give to a good cause or get gift cards for places like Amazon or Starbucks. It only makes sense to make some cash tuning into podcasts, because time is money after all. If you use the invite code BrewCrime, you can even earn 300 bonus Podcoins just for signing up. So head over to your app store and give Podcoin a try. You won't regret it. The title of my story is Abduction, Murder, and No Closure. The sad story of Melanie Carpenter. So I've actually never heard of this story before, but unfortunately, Surrey, where I grew up, is mostly known for gang violence.
Yeah.
And I didn't really want to touch gang violence because it's still ongoing. I don't want to friggin', between street gangs and Hells Angels and all that, I just don't want to touch that stuff. So I thought I'd go for another story. I'd really hoped to do
They
a
have
story.
Hells Angels up in Canada?
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of the
okay.
most feared Hells Angels groups is actually out of Quebec.
Oh, is that when hell freezes over?
Yes, exactly.
No, I don't know.
There's a Hells Angels group in Coquitlam, actually.
Yeah.
Like a
Oh.
Hells Angels house, and they have the cutest garden.
Well, that's
They
how
have like
do
all
it in
these little
Poco,
garden
right?
gnomes, and someone did this like nice little false river in the front. It's really pretty.
That's weird.
I'm just saying.
Very weird.
I'm just saying.
But I wanted to stay away from that. I really wanted to cover, actually, the murder of Jesse Cadman. I remember that growing up. It was a really big story. He was killed over a baseball cap at Central City SkyTrain Station, which is our transit. But unfortunately, I think because both of his parents ended up in politics afterwards, a lot of the story has been scrubbed. His father got into politics afterwards, was just a music hippie, and he was trying to change the Young Offenders Act we had here so that when people murdered people, they didn't get off on light sentences. And then, unfortunately, he died of cancer, and after that, his wife got into politics as well. And the story's just not there anymore. Because I remember it was a huge thing growing up. It was a massive thing. So I changed it up to the story of Melanie Carpenter. So we've got the Moody Ales Chipper Blonde Ale. Thinking chipper, you know, I think happy and kind of happy-go-lucky. And unfortunately, Melanie Carpenter was just a happy-go-lucky blonde woman, and that's what I went for the pairing here. So we'll crack the beers open. All right, so the Chipper Blonde Ale, it says, in lively good humor and health, our Chipper Blonde is a refreshing enough for a post-hockey drink and holds enough flavor to satisfy craft drinkers at any time of the day. Simple beer with simple purpose. Only 3 malts and a single hop variety are used to brew this light, approachable, and refreshingly crisp beer.
It's like the basic bitch beer of light beers.
Yeah, it's a little bit hazy, a little bit of an amber color, I think. It's not quite a whitehead. It's a little off-white.
Is that a delirium glass?
Yeah.
That it is, yes.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of mildly
delicious.
grainy. It's got a mild, maybe citrus aroma. It's just think of a light lager, a light flavored lager, still 5% or whatever this is.
Yeah.
It's definitely easy drinking.
Where we got 5.5% alcohol. It is 26 IBU, so it's a nice, easy beer.
Not super hoppy, but enough to taste it.
Yeah, it's got a nice, light, crisp hop, like no bitterness. A little bit grassy, a little bit grainy, a little bit of like lemony citrus. Super easy drinking. You could definitely crush a lot of these on a patio.
Is that a challenge?
Yes.
No, I'm ready.
So as I was looking up the beer you're drinking, and because I was wondering what hops it had. It's got a Willamette hops.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so...
It does, yes.
Okay.
I think you'd actually really like this beer.
What's that?
I think you'd actually really like this beer.
Yeah, I would think so. I find most blondes inoffensive, so... Yeah.
Except for Nina.
Well, yeah, but it's spicy. I don't know. She's got this.
I'll take spicy. I don't eat
There you
spicy,
go.
but I'll take it, I suppose.
Perfect. All right. Melanie Carpenter was born in New Westminster, British Columbia on April 22nd to parents Steve and Sandra. Family lived in Metro Vancouver suburb of Surrey, where I grew up. I was able to find a little bit of information about her childhood, so I thought I'd add it, as I want to humanize the victim as much as I can.
Yeah.
It's always hard to do. When she was 3 years old, she enjoyed riding her tricycle. Much like most children, she was not the best decision maker, and she rode her tricycle down a flight of stairs at the house that she grew up in.
I would have done that.
I probably would
if
too.
I had stairs.
I have a tiny little scar on my face from falling down the stairs as a kid, so I probably would have done
I always
it too.
wanted to ride down a banister. Never did that.
You should
Anyway.
have.
Sorry.
But who, as a child, did not fall down the stairs or do silly stuff? When she got to the age of 10, she had taken a liking to gymnastics, and it seemed she was pretty good at it. Only 6 years later, she would become the Lower Mainland champion on the beam and vault. Do anyone know what the beam and vault is anymore?
Beam,
Well,
like Olympics, gymnastics. It's a beam where it's a single...
Oh, is that where they walk and
the
like do
plank.
flips and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I can only assume that it is not super easy to become a champ at any level of gymnastics. She was also a fan of sports and played softball and volleyball. She attended Frankhurt Secondary School, but was not a fan of school, according to her dad. As a note, I was actually supposed to go to Frankhurt Secondary, but there was a bunch of stabbings the year before I went there, and I faked my address to a friend's house so I could go to a different one.
Good decision.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of violence issues at that school.
Wait, you did it or your parents faked it?
Well, my parents, yeah.
Okay.
Luckily,
So
there's
I
no
was
jail
thinking,
time
like,
for that.
You,
Yeah.
as a child, like...
I had to...
I definitely did not want to
convincingly-
go there. Luckily, a lot of my friends were going to a different high school, so I technically lived at their house according to the government for that year.
Well, that works. That's fine.
Yeah, I also went to a school in a different district, but I had special permission because there's a hockey academy. So I got permission to go to Burnaby North to be part of the program to play.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But I was supposed to go to Alpha, which is where I ended up.
Yeah.
We were supposed to go to ODCVI, which is that was the feeder high school for my school.
Yeah.
But we went to a school called Patrick Fogarty instead because they had new computers.
Ooh.
Wow.
So
Big
new
deal when we were a
computers.
kid.
Yeah, new computers
Yeah.
good. Catholic high school bad.
Yeah.
But you put up with it.
Here we have, we have the schools in your district, but then we have what they call magnet schools where you apply in like middle school and then high school to go to. It's like then you can go pretty much anywhere in the city if you like, if they accept you.
Yeah.
They have like the catchment program like in Ontario where I'm from, but we lived in like a rural area, so we weren't really in any
Not much choice.
outside.
Yeah. Yeah, where in Crosby, there's 2,300 people, so we only had one high school. So yeah.
Damn, that's small. What is Surrey again?
Where I
Gangland.
grew up, it is about 200 people usually, and then in the summer with the tourists, about 3,000.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah, because when I graduated, I think we had 230 people in our class, so like 10% of the population
Wow.
all the time. That's kind of weird. I don't know how that works out.
The population of Surrey, according to Wikipedia, in 2016 was 517,887.
Wow.
And I think it's the second largest city in Metro Vancouver, or BC.
That makes sense.
Big city boy here.
Yeah, totally.
Aw, cute.
All right, so her dad is quoted as saying, if the subject didn't interest her, she was the kind of kid who would look out the window and watch the birds making a nest.
I thought you were going to say something else.
You never know.
I do that. I did that the other day.
No.
Made a nest.
Sort of. I don't
Made
know.
a nest.
No, or watch the birds make a nest.
I didn't make a nest, but no.
Is that like
There's a bird and it picked up a bunch of twigs, and I was like, "Oh man, where's that bird going?" But I didn't see where it went, so that was the end of it. So.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, I know. Those grackles.
She loved her family, and she also loved animals. She had a cat and rabbits as pets. She also loved to ride horses when she had the chance.
Sounds like me. I had a rabbit and cats, and I rode horses.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did dressage.
Did what?
Oh, there you go.
Dressage?
Fancy horse riding.
When you jump over like pylons and shit with horses.
Yeah.
That's what that's called.
I
Okay.
didn't. Yeah, my cousin does that, but I didn't know.
I'm what you call cultured. Sorry.
Obviously.
Sorry, I didn't mean to laugh there.
Yeah.
She loved to go to Vancouver Game Farm out in Aldergrove, as well as to Como Lake Park in Coquitlam as family outings. Como Lake Park's a nice little park with some man-made lakes.
It is nice.
Yeah. Overall, people said she was a gentle and caring person, and everyone that was lucky enough to know her loved her.
Nina.
Yeah,
Same.
Nina. All right. When she had a chance meeting with Aaron Bastien, it was love at first sight. They spent 6 years together and were engaged to be married when she went missing. She had aspirations of becoming a housewife and wanted to raise children. And I mean, hey, if that's what she wants to do, perfect, right?
Yeah.
Sadly, Melanie had a real fear of being abducted that directed how she lived her life. She would often tell her mother, quote, "Mom, when you go out, hold your head up. Look like you're in control. Don't look vulnerable. Don't look like you could be prey."
Wait, she said that to her mother, or her mother said that to her?
yes. She would say it.
Wow.
It was said that she was a very cautious young woman, and she would dress in very nondescript clothing to hide her figure. She was a 23-year-old, hazel-eyed, blonde-haired, petite young woman, though. She would even go to ladies-only gyms so that she would not be ogled by men in her workout gear.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad, but it is a reality.
I do the same.
You probably fit in at the ladies-only gym.
They call it curves here.
We have that here.
We have curves here, too, yeah.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Melanie worked at an island tan location that no longer exists in Fleetwood, a neighborhood of Surrey, so it's just a tanning salon. Remember when those were a big thing?
I do.
Yeah.
I really do.
I used
yeah.
to go tanning 3 days on, 1 day off.
And then you wear those tiny little goggles.
I never wore the goggles because they don't have raccoon eyes.
No. Yeah, exactly.
What?
You don't want to be like Trump.
Oh.
With the white eyelids but orange face.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
But
God.
then after I spent all my money on my tattoos, I'm like, okay, no more
No
fake tanning.
tanning, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't go.
Yeah.
We should
You don't want him to
maintain the
fade.
masterpiece.
Yeah. The location was actually quite close to where I grew up. I must have been sheltered, as I do not remember hearing about this. She would often work at this location all by herself, although her boss had offered to have her work at a different location with more staff on at one time.
Mm.
On January 6, 1995, things started out as they normally did, with a few regulars coming in for their tanning sessions. Not long after lunch, though, an odd call came in to the tanning salon. A man that said he was representing a small group of Japanese businessmen, and they were interested in purchasing a franchise from Island Tan. He would continue to say that they would like to have a private viewing or inspection of the operation and the tanning beds. Kind of sounds a little hokey, yeah, a little weird. When she hung up the phone, she called her boss, Gary Marshall, who was working at a different location of the chain. He let her know that he was on his way so that he could show the businessmen around. Within 15 minutes, her boss had arrived on location. Phone rang again, and this time Gary picked up the phone. The man on the other end was soft-spoken, but sounded like he had a good grasp on the English language. He would explain that they would need to rebook their appointment, as one of the men was feeling sick after eating lunch. He said that he would call back to reschedule the viewing once he knew what would work for the group. The phone rang only 5 minutes later, though, and he was back on the line asking if they could supply hors d'oeuvres when they did come. This is a quote. When I look back on it now, it's clear he was trying to get me to leave the store, Gary later reflected. But at the time, we both thought it was a joke. Melanie herself kind of laughed it off. Once things were all back in order around 1:30 p.m., Gary headed back to his location in Newton, a different neighborhood in Surrey. It's about 15 minutes away. Sometime after he arrived back at this location, he received a call from a very confused customer from the Fleetwood location. She said the doors were open, but there was no one there at all.
Scary.
Mm-hmm. So Gary jumped back into his car and raced back to the Island Town location to find Melanie gone, as well as the back door unlocked and $250 cash that was missing from the register.
Oh, wow.
Gary got on the phone right away and called 911. You have to remember, this was before people really had cell phones, or he could not call her to check on her when she was not inside the salon. The Surrey RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Police, would go on to report from this location that there were strong indications that Melanie had been kidnapped, but they were not going to divulge any more information. Her worst fear had come true. It's just so sad. Like, she always was scared of being abducted.
Yeah.
And she was. The police would say, it's fast and furious right now. Till we find out otherwise, we're treating this as an abduction. It was broad daylight. How did you get her out without being noticed? The police reached out to other local businesses to see if they had anyone calling, posing as individuals representing a Japanese investor.
Mr. Miyagi is over here wanting to buy some wax.
Japanese investor just sounds bad. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Japanese investor seems a little weird. I mean, if they went with Chinese investors, it wouldn't be that surprising because there's such a huge population of Chinese people in BC.
It would sound less fake.
Yeah.
There's actually a big Canadian... Well, it used to be a Canadian oil company now owned by the Chinese, but Chinese kind of bought up a lot of oil companies.
Same here, actually.
Well, yeah, it was Canadian.
Yeah.
Nexon.
So her father, Steve Carpenter, would also appeal to the kidnapper. Let her go, please. We'll give you anything you want. We don't care. We just want her safe. Near the Island Town location, a bank security camera would record a man making a $300 withdrawal from Melanie's bank account using her bank card. This video would be shown on national TV in Canada the day after the abduction, with the information that they thought the kidnapper was driving a Hyundai hatchback.
Oh, no.
Who drives a hatchback?
My hands up.
You can fit anything in a hatchback.
I drive a hatchback for work and for pleasure.
Actually, hold on. Didn't you drive me home last night in a hatchback?
Yes, I did.
You literally drove me home last night. Okay. The trunk's
I have a
fine.
hatchback.
I was in the trunk. It's fine.
I like having a hatchback.
Yeah, me too.
I can put like a couch in there.
Oh, mine's way smaller than that.
Yeah, no, I know. I've seen.
I mean, the door is open, but
it
still counts as in.
You just tie it down.
Exactly.
Yeah,
It's fine.
Right away, her father would offer a $20,000 reward for Melanie's safe return. He was said to be holding a stack of $100 bills by reporters. And he would say, I thought $20,000 would look like a lot more money than this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're in kind of shock and everything, you're not really thinking straight.
Mm-hmm.
You just
No.
calls would flood in, and a Bring Melanie Home campaign would be totally overwhelmed with both volunteers and media attention. When the family home could not hold the campaign anymore, Surrey Inn donated space for the cause. The search was going on all over Greater Vancouver.
That's really nice, though.
And the tip lines were ringing off the hook. Locals would even wear yellow ribbons for Melanie, but still after a week, there was no solid evidence of where she was or who the man was on the camera. So scary.
Mm-hmm.
There was then some leads that would flow in and would pin the abduction on Ferdinand Auger, a 37-year-old drifter originally from Ontario. He was known to work often at restaurants and had been living in Calgary, Alberta up until only days before Melanie's abduction. In August of 1994, Ferdinand was released from an Alberta prison where he had spent the last 16 months for an armed robbery charge. Nice guy.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Scholar and a gentleman.
He was also a convicted sex offender on top of that.
God. I take it back.
There you go.
You got to build up, right?
No.
He should sit on a knife. It's fine.
There was enough evidence that they would issue an arrest warrant quickly. Steve Carpenter would also send out a direct deal to Ferdinand that he would pay him $50,000 if he would return his daughter. Ferdinand, you've got my daughter. I've got something you want. I want my daughter back alive. You tell me how to proceed from here. He would go on to say to the news the following. I know my daughter is alive. The bond I have with all my kids is very deep. If one of them died, I'd have an empty feeling. It would be like a shiver, like something running through me suddenly. I would feel it, and I would know it right then. I haven't felt like this, and I know she's still alive. Days continued to go by with no bank transactions and no reported sightings. Both Melanie and Ferdinand had just up and disappeared. In a twist, on January 15th, the police were informed by a High River, Alberta real estate agent that a dead body had been found in a car at a home they were showing to a client.
Well, that's not good.
Now, this body was of Ferdinand Auger.
Oh, interesting.
The car was parked in the garage of the home, and there was a garden hose that led from the car's exhaust pipe to the driver's side window. There were men's clothes stuffed in the window to create a seal, and the windows were all covered in ice, as could be expected in January in Alberta.
Yep. Or May this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it did just snow in Alberta, yeah. And it's quite
nice.
Warm here for this time of year. He looked like he was asleep, police later commented. He was lying back and his face looked peaceful and chalky white. He left a suicide note on the car rental slip, and that read, This vehicle was obtained fraudulently by me, Ferdinand Auger, F.A. Do not hold the credit card holder liable. January 9th, 1995.
All right.
My death was chosen my way and my choice, my place and time. To my family and ex-wife, I love you, but it is better this way. So on January 26th, the Bring Melanie Home hotline would receive a call that all parents dread. There had been a body of a young woman found with golden hair near the town of Yale, about 160 kilometers northeast of Vancouver. The body was found in the Fraser Canyon along an isolated road that was located inside a First Nations reserve. She had been concealed in a crevasse in the rock and covered by a white blanket. The police held a press conference on TV that would describe the condition of her body she was found in. She had been stabbed several times and had her hands tied behind her back. They believed that she was likely murdered only a short time after the abduction. Unfortunately for the family, they heard this news from the Surrey Inn at the Bring Melanie Home headquarters. Sobs and cries would ring out when the news dropped. The autopsy would also later conclude that she had been sexually assaulted on top of everything else. Sadly, there will never be full closure for the family as a suspected murderer killed himself before he could stand trial. After Melanie's death, her father would form a petition to keep murderers in prison. He would also do speeches and hold rallies in protest of Canada's parole system. So that's the story. It's really sad because the family will really never have closure to know if it was him.
Yeah.
99% it was him. But because he killed himself without officially
saying it
saying
was
it was him. We'll never really know. But that's my story.
I bet the Japanese businessmen are disappointed.
Those fictitious Japanese businessmen, yes.
Fictitious? What?
Yeah, exactly. What?
They're there.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, man. It was really good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was really fun.
Hope you had fun, and I'll keep listening to your show. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Well, hopefully.
And fuck Cutter.
Got one listener. Yes.
Alrighty. Well, thanks for tuning in, everyone. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Brew Crime. You can find our Facebook group at Brew Crime. You can find us on Instagram at Pacific Beer Chat, where we share our Instagram account. You can go to brewcrime.com to get all our show notes and everything.
Pictures and whatnot.
Pictures and all of our sources. You can also go to our new Patreon account. It's patreon.com/brewcrime. You can support us and help us make the show even better. And I'll just shout out our first 2 Patreon supporters.
Whoop, whoop.
We've got the Faves of Our Lives, one of the podcasts in our new network, the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Network, and also Amber. So if you want to make the show even better and help us upgrade our equipment and drop us some support money, you can be as little as $1 and as much as you want. So thanks for tuning in. And one more time, Ross, can you just give a little shout out to what your show is for the people?
Yeah, we do. Well, it's called 3 Beers In. We're everywhere that you find good podcasts and also not good podcasts. Any podcast, really. Yeah, and we drink and rate, review local Austin beers. We also, sometimes we go outside of Austin.
Yeah, once in a
but
while,
we
right?
try to stay in Texas.
What's the website again?
It's 3 Beers In Podcast.
And what about your social media?
Social media, it's all 3 Beers In Podcast, yeah.
And that's with the number 3, right?
We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I think Twitter is 3 Beers In the Podcast. But, yeah.
And Instagram is 3 Beers In Podcast. I tagged a couple of our videos as we've been going live.
Perfect.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
That is our Instagram there. That's the best place to find updated content right there.
Brew Crime's intro was created by Mike using Creative Commons Attribution licensed audio from purple-planet.com, soundbible.com, and freesoundeffects.com. Logo design was by Ben Greenberg. All cases and stories were written by Beck, Nina, and Mike, and our sources are put into the show notes for each episode. We always want to give credit to the people that research the cases we talk about. Check out our store at brewcrime.threadless.com, where you can purchase swag like t-shirts, phone cases, beach towels, and all kinds of cool stuff. We can also be found on your favorite podcast apps, our hosts, Spreaker.com, or brewcrime.com, as well as at Brewcrime on Twitter, at Brewcrime on Facebook, at facebook.com/groups/brewcrime. Thanks for listening. This has been a production of Pacific Beer Chat. Here's a promo from one of the podcasts in the Big Heads Media Network.
Hi, I'm Mark.
And I'm Carol.
And we're the hosts of Retro Late Fee. We are stuck in 1994.
And we can't get out.
We're watching all the movies and TV shows that you probably remember, I guess. Somehow we're speaking to you through some kind of time portal.
Right.
Join us every week for great movies and TV shows from 25 years ago.
It's fun, I swear.
Yeah. It's recording now. It's a good thing you told me, because I would have probably forgot.
Hand over the mic to her.
And it's introducing Beck very slowly. The anticipation.
And actually, one thing, can you hear Beck? Is she loud enough for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Just want to make sure.
I'm always too quiet. That's why he's asking.
It is quiet, but I can hear it.
Is it supposed to bend that way? Okay, that seems... Now you're just the ceiling.
You're leaving all this in, right? Or
Oh, yeah, no.
okay.
It's literally the top of Beck's forehead.
I've got a lot to see.
Damn it.
I lost my spot. Cut.
You're going to have more of this.
Yes. What? Nina likes the beer?
That doesn't happen.
God.
I'm a changed woman, guys.
Quite a few people have been questioned multiple times.
Whoa.
I'm going to start that over again once that asshole's gone. Okay. Right?
Vroom.
Here we go, back at the beginning there.
Yes, it's
I just
Moody's
insulted the BC Lions, so
son of a bitch.
probably for the best.
I shake my fist at you. It's all I can do. Not you, Amber.
Yeah.
My wife's over hiding, watching TV with headphones on.
What I did last time.
Interest is... Wait, I just said that. Anyway.
Remix.
I'm skipping... Yeah. Skipping ahead. Her bottom didn't come up yet. I don't know.
Oh. Her bottom? Bottom's up?
Weird.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that poor choice of words. Anyway. So Scott was a bit older and okay, never mind. I read that. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know why they said chick, but whatever. It's weird.
It's fine.
It felt weird saying it anyway.
Actually, do you want to get into it? Because my first tattoo 2 weeks before my 15th birthday was a Playboy bunny tramp stamp.
Why did
there you go.
Why did my mother
young.
sign for it? I know, but I'm very convincing child.
That's what I'm wondering.
Anyways, I got it covered up now. It's gone. It's fine. This can go in the bloopers.
It's hard to be a mother.
Yeah. So my big koi fish tattoo covers the Playboy bunny.
Good.
I was
There you
super
go.
cool in grade 10, though.
I mean, who doesn't want to be popular in
Yeah.
high school?
With the Playboy bunny
Worst
tramp
time
stamp.
of my life.
Jennifer's mother.
I'm just
All right.
thinking that...
Yeah. So
Is that better? Just, I'm like, you're like fondling in front of me. It's very distracting with my little font here. And just, okay. Cut. Right? That's what we're saying. Obviously, let's just talk about my hometown. So I was born in... No, I wasn't. Let's start it again. So, the Gathering... crazy, like, Bad News Bears. And, it's good. I forgot I had this one still. Hold on, I'm chugging.
No. We got more glasses up there.
Nina's... Oh, my God. You can't see her, Russ, but she's drinking She's
fully chugging.
chugged a full pint.
Chugging.
In like
There you
2
go.
hours.
I think you'll like this beer now.
There it is.
oh, there we go.
Lots of classy ladies here in Canada.
Sorry, I'm almost done.
Especially on the show.
God.
One more.
That's how they like it in Serbia.
I'm telling you, by the time I'm 30, if I'm still single, I'm going to move back there because someone in a village will want me. Like,
Don't go.
oh, it's okay.
All right. Before I start talking about the beer,
I'm going to get shipped off and sold for a goat, and it's going to be the best.
you're worth at least 3 goats. Come on now.
Yeah.
I'd like to throw in a cow in the mix. Like,
Okay.
1 cow and 2 goats.
Who's got the land to raise a cow?
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's a village. It takes a
Takes a village
Takes
to
a
raise a
village
cow.
to put up with Nina.
to put up with Nina. Well, fuck you too. And I'm going to tell my grandpa what you said.
All right.
Just don't tell Mira.
And I lost my phone.
Oh
I think
no.
I'm drunk. My face feels warm. I should bring the beer bong next time.
No beer bomb.
God, no.
You can tell Nina's the youngest.
That's an ongoing debate we have. What's going to be your last beer? It's like either you're drinking it or you're butt chugging it.
Oh my God.
You just put the tube up there, and it's like it gets into your system quicker, right? I don't know.
No.
Do you guys want to hear about a funny story about the first time I ever beer bonged?
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought I was doing a single beer, and then I was talking to one of my friends, and I turned around, and I drank, and she actually put a Mickey of gin and a beer, and I drank it all in one go. Anyways, I fell asleep on the trampoline, and I woke up in gumboots, which I don't own, but apparently there was a video of me that I ran to the neighbor's house and stole the gumboots and put them. I returned them naturally, but in my drunk 5 minutes of fame, I stole gumboots, went back to my other friend's house, and fell asleep on her like single person trampoline, like
Amazing.
where like a one person can hop on it,
Yeah.
and I was leaking over it.
Yeah.
My friends were dicks, and it's fine. I'm not friends with them anymore.
That's not nice.
Oh,
The
No, it was
only
awesome.
story I have about a beer bong was, these are people you know, Nina. Victor challenged Hillary to the beer bong. So Victor went, and Hillary was just
not
like
Hillary.
Hillary was just like, that's cute, and then slaughtered him.
Like, I happen to be pretty good at taking it down.
Yeah.
Fuck
Shut
you.
up, Mike.
Rude. But yeah, so my beer bong's called Hail Mary. I built her at Home Depot. I went inside and I was like, oh, I need, what did I say? Like, I need a valve and a pipe. He's like this like little Italian guy who's his name should have been like Super Mario. I know, he was awesome. He's like, oh, you're building the beer bong, and I'm like, the beer bong. He took me to every single spot to get the beer bong shit. Like Katrina and I, Victoria's girlfriend, went, got it together at home. I like put the thing together. It's awesome. Mary. So like we cross, we do the Serbs because we cross, and then we do it. So everyone's like, it's Hail Mary.
Oh, okay.
This one that I'm talking about was actually in the work supply closet because this was like 9 years ago, and things were very different at work then.
Now we have to in the closet drink beer bongs, not out in the floor open.
We don't drink at work.
Right.
Anyway, that was a lengthy conversation about beer bongs.
Yeah, it was. I've never done one.
Shut the front
No,
door.
me neither.
I haven't
I
either.
never will. I never
Are
will.
you
Me
guys
neither.
kidding me? And you're connoisseurs of the alcoholic beverage of beer.
Because we like good
People
beer.
don't
We don't
really
like getting
make
drunk.
guys do beer bongs. It's more about
I
girls
guess
at
things are
parties, I
different in
guess.
Texas. Oh, I fucking love it. I mean, if you're drinking to get drunk, just beer bong.
Well,
4 beers in a
yeah.
row,
If you're
and
just
then-
gonna get drunk, now it's like I'm too old for that.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I want to enjoy what I'm drinking at least.
Yeah.
And also get drunk. So
Yeah.
It's a side benefit.
yes.
Just wait.
Good rebuttal right there.
Yeah, good rebuttal for sure. Jeez. We ready yet, ladies?
I'm just, yeah.
Ladies.
There are so many questions. It was broad daylight.
It wasn't broad daylight?
No, it was, but no, this sentence is horribly written.
Yeah, I find that when I type things.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't had time to edit.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Oh my god.
Wow. I want to meet her.
Yes.
And I'm going to keep drinking.
Turn the screen back on.
Also, this is, I think, the first episode where I've liked every single beer.
Yes, it's so true.
Which is a problem because I'm schwasty pants.
I'm sure it has nothing to do with chugging that pint of Serbian beer.
No, it's my blood. It's just.
There's a couch.
All right.
No, I think I might deserve the floor in a little bit.
We're ready.
Okay. But is Nina?
Fucking ready, bro.
All right.
I didn't even bring a jacket today.
I didn't even bring my computer, my jacket.
Yeah.
And I bought chips and beer. Who's contributing now?
But you brought chips.
Exactly.
And dip.
There you go. Oh, and wow.
Son of a bitch.
I know I'm an ultra.
All right.
Awesome.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. It was
my
great
pleasure.
being here, talking about murders and whatnot, and Serbian football.
Soccer. Oh no, it's football. You're
Yeah,
right.
you're right,
Europeans.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's pretty
Go
cultured. He's
Lions.
pretty cultured.
Wait, no, that's
One
something else.
cultured to another cultured.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
All right, man. Well, have a good one. Talk to you later.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.